Yeah, so hello traders, welcome to this week market analysis and outlook. My name's remain Elemo Sholusheyi, also known as Forex Grandmaster. And just like I said in my previous video, I will be focusing on dollars related currency pairs. And that's why you'd see that the analysis that we're going to be looking at right now is just going to be dollar related pairs, apart from euro yen and pounds yen. But I'm also going to be extending it to US 30 and NASDAQ. So, a review of what happened last week. Last week wasn't really a good trading week. Reason because market really didn't move. Didn't really trend well, so to say. So most of the trade analysis or trades taken then as at that time, especially for gold. I think it was for gold, where it's gold right now. Yeah. So for gold, you can see price was just moving moving sideways. Price is just moving within a very tight range. So it didn't really trend well, which is the major pair that I do trade the most. Let me try to clear this out. So which is the major pair that I do trade the most? It didn't really price didn't really go past beyond that point. So I think the target area was somewhere around here, and then the entry was somewhere around here. So you just keep on hitting the SL a couple of times, which happens sometimes in trading. And so I'm expecting that this week we most likely have the expected breakout that we're looking for up to that point. And so I'm still long on. I'm still going to be long on. Still going to be long on gold. So currently, right now, I just got a new marker. So I'm trying to get very trying to get very used to the marker set. So currently, right now, I think last week we had a loss of around 2%, which is not bad considering the fact that we've been making profits all this while. I think about 15% profits for last 2 weeks, and then for last week we just had 2%, which is okay. So in the coming week, we'll see how that goes, whether we are able to overturn that to a profit week. Like I told you guys, the maximum loss so far, I think the maximum loss so far is around 4%. The maximum drawdown so far, the maximum drawdown. Let me try to check that. Yes, the overall drawdown so far was 4.77%, but we are still in a very good profit of 12% currently. And then per day, let's look at the maximum drawdown per day. The maximum drawdown per day has not even reached 3%. It hasn't gotten to 3% yet. So still in very good cause. So let's go to the analysis that we have for today. Then the reason why just like I told you, the reason why I'm trying to restrict the analysis to just to just US dollar related pair. Let me change this to no, and then this to yes. Is because of the results so far. The results so far show that dollar related pairs are actually bringing much more money on the table than cross pairs. So that is why I'm shrinking out all the crosses. I'm shrinking out all the crosses apart from maybe euro yen and pounds yen. Every other one that has to do with crosses, I'm taking them out. So I'm just shrinking them to dollar related pair. But so far, gold has been the one that has given us the profit the most, followed by Euro USD, then followed by dollar Swiss, and then followed by dollar yen and all that. So I want to try to focus much more on the. So I want to try to focus much more on those ones that give much profit. And the reason for that is because they have tight stop loss and tight spread, so to say. Their spread are quite tight compared to that spread are quite tight compared to process. So let's go to the business of the day. We'll be starting with dollar, and then for the US dollar, as you can see, we have been going bearish. All this while we've been going bearish, and it's looking more likely that price may pull back up to this zone, and then we'll continue in that bearish direction. So for me, I am looking at going bearish on the USD, but most likely we are going to be retesting this zone. We are going to most likely be retesting that zone. So immediately market open, there's every tendency that USD becomes quite strong a little, and then after that, we should then be looking at going bearish on the USD. And then the next one right there, the next one is yen. And for yen, just like I always let you know that when yen moves down, it means it's strong, and when it pulls back up, it is weak. So recently, yen has been quite weak, but I'm expecting that we are going to be resuming the strength very soon. The weakness is the correction of this strength that happened in the previous week. So you're just correcting that strength. So there's every tendency that we're going to be having yen being strong very soon, where this forms more like an A, B equals to the CD pattern up to this zone. So I'm looking at the possibility of yen being strong in the coming week. So based on that, we can look at how to address or approach the US dollar Japanese yen. So for the US dollar Japanese yen, as you can see, price also had flushed down at that point, and then not moving some kind of sideways correction. So it's looking more likely that we are going to be having a cell structure around this zone. We're going to be having that cell structure around this zone. So I may expect that price, possibly push back up a little, especially when US dollar is going to be first strong. And then when we get some kind of reaction around that, then we should be looking at going with that sell. So for me, I am going to be looking for sell on US dollar Japanese yen around this zone. So let me just quickly mark that as my possible potential reversal zone. So I'll be looking at going short around here. If the currency strength meter shows that US dollars is weak and then yen is ranked higher than the US dollar, then I'll be going for sell US dollar Japanese yen. And then the second one right there is pounds. So for pounds, interestingly, pounds has been weak all this while, push back up, weakness, push back up, weakness, and then did a major pushback up to this zone, up to this area. So there's every tendency that price may most likely, that pounds may most likely have some weakness around here, being that it got to a kind of a previously support area that is most likely going to be rejected as a resistance. So I'm expecting some weakness on pounds for some time. Most likely, maybe we can just have some kind of pushback up a little here before the true sell then start. So for me, I'll be expecting weakness on pounds. So with that, we can look at what we should expect in the GDP yen and the GBP USD. So for GBP USD, I think we are most likely going to be having weakness and weakness. So for the weakness and weakness, it means that there's every tendency that you may have some kind of low movement on that pair. But for pounds and yen, there's every tendency that you should have major movement on that pair. So let's go to let's go to what we have here. GD, GBP USD. So for GBP USD, we have something that looks like a similar structure on the pound index that we have just considered, where price was actually moving sideways and then broke out from that structure, came into that area and then broke it out completely. And it's looking more likely that it's retesting this area of supports, most likely going to be rejected, and price continue downward if USD becomes strong. But like I said, the two pairs are most likely going to be weak for now. So caution should be taken when we want to take this pair. Caution should be taken when we want to trade this pair. For me, I'll prefer to trade much more of pounds yen than the pounds USD. But let's go to pounds yen and see what we have there. So for the pounds yen, pounds yen has actually been moving up. There was a time that we took that sell. We took the sell for profit. That's the upper week. And then after that, I tried to take a sell around here, but the yen has been weak all the while, and then pounds has been strong, which was why you see that price had moved up significantly. So there's every tendency that right now, there's every tendency that price may most likely get to this zone before true sell eventually stops, possibly just retesting the initial high. But nothing says that it must have to test that initial high. So if we get signal at any time that yen is very strong and pound is very weak, then we'll be looking at taking a sell for this pair. So for me, I'll be looking at selling yen. That has been established. Then the next one right there, the next one is euro. So euro has actually been strong, fundamentally speaking. Euro has been strong all this while. As you can see, movement to the upside, retracement, movement to the upside, retracement, movement to the upside, retracement, and then there's every tendency that we are going to continue the bullish movement. But let's see how price action should play for this. On the 4 hours time frame, I'm expecting that there's a possibility that price come to retest this initial area where price tested it a couple of times, multiple times, and so there's every tendency that you may get here before you then go up. But if the fundamental that comes in during the week is very strong for the euro, then we may want to watch this area for the likely area where price may most likely start going bullish from. So for me, if US dollar becomes very weak, we should expect that euro will take advantage of that. So anytime US dollar becomes very weak, we'll be looking at going long on euro USD. So let's look at euro USD and see what we have there. So for euro USD, it has been bullish all this while, definitely bullish, but it's looking more likely. Let me go to the daily time frame. It's looking more likely that we may want to retest this zone before we then start going up. So on the 4 hours time frame, which is what we have right here. And so when US dollars become very strong, you may expect this would happen. And then as at the time that US dollar becomes quite very weak, and then euro becomes strong, then you should expect the continuation of this pair to the upside. So for me, I'll be going bullish only on US dollars, euro USD. Then euro yen, I wouldn't want to trade this pair because yes, every tendency that you're going to be having strong versus strong at some point. So for me, I think that we may just be moving in a corrective structure like this. We're just moving in a corrective structure, not significantly moving up or down, but it's going to be forming some kind of reversal pattern around there. So for me, I would prefer to trade Euro USD much more than Euro yen. Then the other one that we may also want to consider is okay, I'm not going to be trading Euro GBP, so that is taken out. And the other one right here is Swiss francs. So for Swiss francs, we are just going to look at Euro USD versus Swiss francs, and nothing else. So for Swiss francs has been quite strong all this while. As you can see, just like Euro, it has also been moving, bullish and just making some small correction and then continue in the bullish trend. So for now, I think that let's see whether we have a strong correction, whether price have actually got into the completed the correction area for the next movement to the upside. One of the ways to do that, let's look at what we have on the weekly time frame. And the weekly time frame, well, nothing much here. So I do think that we are getting to the terminal area where Swiss francs may most likely start getting weak, but it may not be immediately. So on the daily time frame, let's look at where price may most likely retrace up to. Price is currently around the 38.2%, 38.2% retracement. So if we're going to be making a very deep correction, then you may expect price to possibly get to the 50% or 61.8%, which is somewhere around here. So it is not so clear if the correction for Swiss francs is completed yet, or we want to have a deep correction. So we want to watch that closely. But if US dollar becomes very weak, then you can have that movement that we're expecting. You can have that movement to the upside first before we then start looking at weakness for the Swiss francs. So on the 4 hours time frame, price seems to have given us an A because to the CD structure right here. And A because you see the structure right here. This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and it's also around it at 8.2% that we have measured. And there's every tendency that there is a minor a minor support zone around here. So if that is going to be holding, we should be looking at going long, going short on US dollar streets, given the fact that USD is weak. So with that, let's go to US dollar Swiss francs. US dollar Swiss francs 4 hours time frame. So for 4 hours time frame, I think I'll draw this initial high, and I'll also draw this one right here, which are the potential area where price may get to before we then resume the proper sell. So yes, on the 1 hour time frame right here, this is looking quite clean. So we may have this price getting to this point. If price gets to this point and then US dollar becomes very weak, then we may want to look out for that sell that we are anticipating. But if that doesn't happen and US dollar continues very strong, then we want to look at going short somewhere around here when US dollar then becomes quite weak. So then let us look at what we have on gold. So for gold, just like I said, it has not really been moving well. It has been moving stylishly sideways. Though uptrend, but stylishly sideways. We are still expecting that there's going to be a breakout of this structure very soon. And that was why we couldn't make much profits. As a matter of fact, some kind of loss last week. The reason was because, at every particular point in time, keep on coming back to hit the stop loss, then going up, keep on coming back to hit the stop loss, going up. I think for about three or four times that happened. At a point, I had to just, let market do what it wants to do. So, for this one, I'm expecting that price is going to be breaking out of this range, of this tight range very soon. So the best opportunity to be able to enter this trade would be if price first come all the way down here. If price come all the way down here, then it's going to be something that is going to be very interesting for us to then look for that buy setup. So I'll just be hoping, praying that it just makes some kind of pushback into this zone. If that happens, then I'll be going long on gold. But generally speaking, gold has been bullish, and the gold has been bullish, and the macro on the daily time frame, though, it's looking more like a sideways correction on the daily time frame right now. Currently, is looking more like a sideways correction. It's looking more like a sideways correction, but the overall trend so far has been bullish. The overall trend so far has been bullish. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to be able to, as we are not going to be getting some clear setup in the interim when prices will be very tight range like this. As you can see, it's actually in a very tight range right there. But if that happens, if it tight rate breaks, then we should be looking at price getting all the way to somewhere around this zone. And you don't want to miss that for anything. So for me, I will be expecting that breakout very soon, and I'm hoping that price, come all the way down to this area first before then breaking out. But if that doesn't happen, then there's every tendency that here will be where I'll be looking at getting in. So looking at getting in, let's look at 15 minutes time frame and see where that may most likely be. So for the 15 minutes time frame, this is one level where if price gets here, then you should be looking at getting in. If price gets here, that means if price, first go up and then come back here, then you're looking at getting in from that point. But if it gets here and then still eventually break below that point, then you should be looking at getting in at this zone, this area right here, which is going to be the best one. But the other alternative is getting in around here. And then let's look at what we have on US30 and NASDAQ. So for US30, this is NASDAQ, so to say, but I usually like starting from US30 then NASDAQ. So for US30 right here, the overall trend is still bullish. As you can see, we have been moving in a bullish trend. So I'm still looking at the possibility of getting in for this trade for a bullish setup. Most likely going to be if price, test this area and then come back. If it comes back, then it should be good for us to ride it out. But if it doesn't come back, the other alternative is to be able to get in somewhere around here. If it doesn't come back, then this is going to be a very good buy area for us to go long. Then last but not the least right here is going to be NASDAQ. So for NASDAQ, it has been bullish all this while. But I think that we may eventually break that high, especially if US dollar continues the weakness. We may eventually break that high. So the best area to get in is if price come back to this point. If price come back to this point, then I'll be looking at going long. But if it doesn't come back to that point, well, we have to let it go, because now it's going to be approaching a key resistance area that may not break immediately. So if it gets to this resistance area, you don't want to sell it. You don't want to sell it. You want price to pull back into this area and then look for a buy opportunity from that point. So, like I said, I want to try to make it as small, easy as possible, focusing on US dollar related pairs, and then maybe a little bit of Euro yen and GDP and pound yen, and then also extending it to US 30 and NASDAQ. So I'll see you guys next week, and I hope you guys have a very lovely week ahead of you. And cheers and bye for now.